I've seen a lot of people post draft looking at these national sites they put out there, their post draft power rankings. That now that free agency and the draft are behind us, we have a clear picture of what these teams are going to look like going into 2024. Just where does your team fit in the preseason power ranking situation? And spoiler, on most of them, the Titans are bottom 5. Every way too early 2025 mock has the Titans taking like a quarterback at 1 overall or 3 overall or something. So there's been a lot of talk about how can you possibly look at what the Titans have done this offseason in free agency and then in the draft and say that's the worst team in the league right there coming up. These guys are going to win 2, 3, maybe 4 games if they get lucky. How can you say that? It's simple, really. In the NFL, it's a team game. Totally is. But in terms of media understanding, it gets simplified down to who's your quarterback and who's your coach. And with the Titans, you've got 2 guys that are, no matter what you think of them, unproven. Brian Callahan, first-time head coach, was a coordinator last year on a good team, but one who didn't call plays. And so what's his offense going to look like? It's a projection at this point. We have a lot of clues. I think there's a great educated guess to be made that it's going to be a good one, but we don't know because we've not actually seen his offense yet. And then with Will Levis, we've seen we played 9 games last year, something like that. Less than 10. We've seen less than 10 games from Will Levis. There's been a lot of ups, a lot of downs. As our buddy Sean McAvoy came on the show a couple weeks ago to sum it up, he said, there was, in general, I think, slightly above average quarter. Or did he say slightly above or below? I think he said slightly above average quarterback play, which is where I would put it. Sorry if I'm putting words in your mouth, Sean, but it was something like that. The point being, it was fine on the whole. And there were some times that you just, that's not great. That you can't be doing that. And then there were times that, okay, we can really work with that. There's the pop, there's the flash. We need to distill that down and make that who this guy is. And so as long as that's the case, and it's going to be that way until September, and we actually get some games going here, there's no reason for national media in particular, or fans of other teams, or anybody that's not located in Nashville to think anything more of the Titans than a team that maybe has some potential, and they may not be trending down necessarily, but hey, they fired Mike Vrabel. The national understanding is Mike Vrabel, pretty good coach, tends to do more with less, and their wide receiver situation, there's the element of, as we talked about earlier in the offseason, JT, hey, when a team is the offseason darling, when you win free agency, that it doesn't typically bode well for that team in the regular season. So that part of it is hanging over the Titans. And that may very well come to fruition that, hey, you can't buy happiness, you can't buy wins in the NFL. And they're going to need these draft picks to really hit for them to get back on their feet in a hurry. And it's going to be a longer road for the Titans than people think. But that's that's why I think folks should not be upset about this perception that the Titans are at the bottom of the barrel, that the Titans may be picking top 5, top 3, number 1 overall next year, and they may be going after a quarterback next year. Is it a little uninformed? Oh, totally. It's so uninformed. But is it shocking? Here's where I'm ultimately at. As a Titans fan, if you're appalled by this, put yourself in the shoes of a different team. What's another team, JT, that everybody's like, let's look at the Panthers, for example. And people are like optimistic about the Panthers, mostly because you think there's only one way to go, which is up. But nobody thinks the Panthers are going to be like a potential playoff team this year. Nobody's talking about them as a team that's going to make some noise. It's just like, maybe they're trending in the right direction slowly. Dude, think about the Panthers as a Titans fan. You don't have any reason to think that team isn't picking inside the top 10, top 5 in next year's draft. And yet I guarantee if we go to Panthers fans, there's going to be a large contingent that say, well, you didn't see this signing? Whoa, do you not remember that we signed 2 premier guards to record-setting contracts, which was an interesting choice, but we did that. We've got those guys locked down. Second year of Bryce Young, he still was most people's number 1 quarterback coming out. He still is a talented player. You just got to keep him upright and I guess hire short enough linemen for him to see over. Get him some receivers out there, and that's what we did, baby. We got Deontay Johnson in the building. Do you see what we drafted at 33 overall? Xavier Legette. He's going to come in here. We've actually got some weapons for him now. This defense, we're improving. Everybody can make this argument, but unless you got the quarterback and unless you got the coach, just like the Panthers with Dave Canales. Is that their coach, right? Dave Canales, the first-time head coach with a second-year quarterback who's not proven himself. The Titans have a first-year head coach with a second-year quarterback who hasn't quite proven himself yet. And for that reason, other than age, what will the media have to talk about for the Titans? It's those two things, Kane. It's the fact that they don't have a proven quarterback. They don't have a proven coach. And until they do, which they can do quickly, by Halloween, by Thanksgiving, we can talk about how, the Titans suddenly are 13th, 10th, 9th overall in people's power ratings midseason. How'd that happen? It's because people finally have some faith in Will Levis, or they finally realize, hey, Brian Callahan, this cat, he's cooking. This guy can play. This guy can coach, rather. And so that's why the summer narrative all year long is going to be Titans stink. And they're not going to change that until they get those guys.
Yeah, I mean, it really just is the biggest unknown with Will Levis. When you talk about any national analyst, you like you said, the biggest thing is getting the quarterback position down. And while that is still unknown and still unproven to see how we're going to see that work with this new look offense and Brian Callahan calling the plays and things like that, we're just, it's not like if Will Levis came out and shocked everybody last season and played 9 games unbelievably, we'd be having
CJ Stroud stuff, right?
We'd be having a way different conversation because know what the product is. We simply just don't know. And we don't know how this transition from a Joe Burrow pass happy offense to a Will Levis, who is a different player. Like, they are objectively different quarterbacks. They do not play the same style of quarterback. It's interesting to see how we just don't know how that's going to work out yet. And that's why this year is a huge experiment.
And as Jack says, I think a lot of people in the Nashville market think that they're about to shock the league. And where'd it go? Derek saying the media crapping on us has gotten old at this point. It's lazy and boring. I understand that 100%. And if you feel that way, I've got great news for you. There's such fantastic local coverage being done here at Broadway Sports Media, the 440 Podcast Network. You got us. You got a football show. You got Football Another F Word. You got the Music's the Audible. You've got the Paul Karski Show all here on the 440 Pod. You've got other folks here in Nashville, our buddy Tron Davenport, or the guys over at A to Z. So many options in terms of local coverage that you should be tuning into that understands where you're at. And the national folks are going to be late to the party, and that's okay. That's just the way that it works when you're a small market team.